Oh, welcome back, Mr. Wolf. You're looking mighty happy there. Are you understanding a little bit more about how to tell the time? You are? Fantastic. Well, in this video lesson, we're going to be looking at telling the time to the hour. So we're going to look at o'clock times. So first of all, we're going to use the analog clock to tell o'clock times. So here's our hands back again. Here's our hour hand. And here's our minute hand. Now, remember, the hour hand tells us what hour it is, and the minute hand tells us how many minutes have passed that hour. So, for o'clock, the minute hand points to the 12. Now, when the minute hand is on the 12, it is the signal of a new hour. Now, this red hand, like we said, tells us what hour it is. It's the hour hand, and it is pointing to the 3. So that tells us that it is, did you say 3 o'clock? You're correct. It is 3 o'clock. Okay, let's try a different hour. Now remember, when it's o'clock, the minute hand is always pointing directly onto the 12, straight on there. What about now? The hour hand is pointing to the 6. Now remember, the little hand, or also known as the hour hand, tells us what hour it is. Now, it is pointing to the 6, and the big hand, the minute hand, is on the 12. So that means it must be, did you say 6 o'clock? You would be correct. Well done. Let's try another time. All right, what about this one? All right, so we've got the minute hand pointing on the 12. That tells us it's going to be an o'clock time. And the hour hand here, the red one, is pointing to the 10. Okay, so that means it's going to be, did you say 10 o'clock? You would be correct. Well done. What about this one? This could really trick you. Then again, you're pretty clever. Okay, so we've got the longer hand, which is a minute hand, pointing to the 12. So that means it's going to tell us an o'clock time. That's a bit of a tongue twister. And the hour hand, the red hand, the smaller hand there, is pointing to the 12. Well, that tells me that it is 12 o'clock. What do you think? Are you understanding? Let's try one more time. Okay. I'm going to move this hour hand around. What time will it be? Let's see. What's the time, Miss Wolf? What about now? Okay, so the minute hand is still pointing to the 12. That tells me it's going to be an o'clock time. Remember, it's the longer hand. And the little hand, the hour hand, is pointing to the 8. Okay, great. That tells me it is 8 o'clock. I hope you're starting to understand o'clock times. So what does o'clock times look like on digital clocks? Let's have a look here. So on this clock here, we talked about how, previously, how the number that comes before the dots tells us what hour it is, and the numbers that come here after the dots tell us how many minutes have passed that hour. So we're going to do an example. I'll just erase my little markings there. Okay, let's have a look at this time. Here we go. So I've got 10 there. So that tells me the hour, so it's 10. Now, how many minutes for o'clock? 0, 0. That's right. There are no minutes at all when it's o'clock because it's straight on that hour. Right on that hour, it has 0, 0. And that tells me it's an o'clock time. When you see 0, 0 minutes, that means it's an o'clock time. So the hour was 10 o'clock. So just remember, if you see 2 zeros after these dots here, that means the hour is an o'clock time. All right, let's try another one. I'll rub out as fast as I can. It's a little bit different looking, isn't it, to an analog clock? Some people prefer digital clocks. They think it's a little bit easier. I like the challenge of an analog clock. All right, nearly done. Okay, so remember, an o'clock time has 2 zeros after the 2 dots, on a digital clock that is. Okay, here's a time. 9, and I've got 0, 0. So that means it is 9 o'clock. Okay, shall we try one more? Okay, I'll just rub out this 9 because I think you know by now that if you see 0, 0, it's an o'clock time. Let's try this time. 1. So the time on my digital clock is 1 o'clock. Here is the hour before the 2 dots, and here are the minutes after the 2 dots. And remember though, o'clock always has 2 zeros because no minutes have passed. It's right on the hour. Time flies when you're having fun learning about time. See you later.